everyone. So as you can see, it takes two to replace Miguel. I'm François Chevresson. I'm in charge of professional services for Bonitasoft US. And Aurélien Pupier is one of our lead engineers. He specifically works on the Bonita BPM studio that you've seen yesterday during the model interchange demonstration. The topic we'd like to address with you today is flexibility in the context of BPM, and especially flexibility post-deployment. Basically, the process we would like to address is what we've seen during our project. Bonitasoft is the BPMS vendor, open source based, and we are delivering services, so we are executing projects, and we have seen many examples of rigidity. Once you've captured your process using the BPMN specification, basically your process runs in an environment. It's not isolated anymore, and it depends on external applications. Human beings are interacting with it, and they need to face exceptions. So we needed to find ways to address that and provide flexibility. So we've tried to respect the rules as well. So this is basically the only slide of the presentation. We would like to focus on a demonstration right after. This is just to provide you with a really high overview of what we are going to see during the demonstration. It's a really basic business process. It's a business trip request. We'll see someone submitting a travel request that needs to be validated by his manager. And we will send a notification using different channels and services at the end of the demonstration. And we're using this really simple example just to show you that there is a lot of room for error just with this simple flow. We are interacting with third-party services that can be unavailable, change their API, third-party application that can fail, and human beings need to adapt to a specific request. It wasn't necessarily captured during the process design, so we want to provide flexibility as well to the end user through the use of subtasks. So this is for the high-level explanation. Here we'd like to zoom into the BPM studio just to show you how we've managed to address that with a few simple features. So this is the corresponding BPMN diagram. In Bonita BPM v6, we've introduced the notion of configuration. So each process comes with its set of configuration. And something we've seen in many projects is that, for instance, you see the first getaway is doing a first preliminary check on the amount that is requested for the travel request. If you hard-code your account request limit, if it comes to change during the process execution, you need to come up with your new process definition, put your production down, deploy a new process definition. So that can be an issue in multiple cases. What you could do instead is using the notion of parameter that we've introduced in v6, which is pretty basic, and that is only the notion of providing a placeholder. For instance, here we are going to test the advanced limit, but we are going to prevent our user to hard-code the threshold. And what we will see during the execution is that this parameter can be changed at runtime without putting your server down and impacting your operations, basically. We are not going to see all the details of the implementation, but basically it's the same concept that we have behind the automatic task. Instead of hard-coding the URL to your SMTP server when you send an email, use a parameter. Here we are doing that. Basically, we are going to show you a notification sent to Twitter. It's not to be fashionable, but it's actually a concrete use case of an external service that you don't control, and have an example of Twitter asking us to modify our API. So that could be really impacting to your operation as well. So when you connect your service task to an external application, we have this option now to use parameters that can be changed at runtime. We can switch maybe to the execution now. So the first step, as you've seen, will be Aurélien putting in a trip request into the system. So this is the Bonita portal, so the end user will have the option to start a process based on the definition we've seen earlier. We have the capability to build forms corresponding to the human task. And this is the field corresponding to the advanced limit for this trip. So Aurélien is going to send his request. And if you remember the previous flow, it's going to be forwarded to his manager. So we can submit this one with a travel advance of 2,000. We are putting this value because this is basically what we have set as a parameter to be routed to the manager for additional control and validation. So in this demonstration, Miguel is the manager, and just an option, an opportunity here to show you the same portal in a mobile setup. So Miguel will receive a task in his to-do list asking him to validate a travel request. So this is an example of rigidity as well. We didn't capture that dialogue needs to take place at this time. And Miguel may want to be able to validate that the, bpmNEXT is still on, we have a budget, Aurélien is allowed to go. So what Miguel can do here is that he can create a subtask. A subtask is a really simple subset of tasks that can be sent to any BPM actor. And we have just a few fields that can be used to ask a question, request additional information. So we've seen a similar example in previous demonstration. We can provide a title, a description, set a priority, a due date. And basically here, Miguel is asking to Mac, our VP marketing, to confirm that the budget has been confirmed for the conference. All right. We are going to quickly see that Mac, when he logs in as Mac, Mac has received a task, and it's showing up as a regular task in his to-do list. The only difference is that the dialogue takes place as a comment. So the goal here is to prevent your user, if you didn't capture the need to collaborate around the task, it's just a really easy way to capture this discussion and to keep track of it, to avoid using email and keep track of the discussion for audit trail purpose of this kind of thing. At this point, so if you remember the scenario, Miguel will receive the confirmation. Basically, here we would like to approve the trip. We're going to do that quickly. And we are going to switch to the second part of the demonstration. Basically, here we talked about flexibility in the context of a user interaction. Now, what happens if in production, an automatic task needs to connect to an external service or third-party application, and this connection fails? The first example, again, we use Twitter here just to show you. Normally, we have received notification by tweet, nothing really fancy. But recently, Twitter asked their user to change their API and to force the use of SSL to secure calls to their API. In that case, you have two options. Either you come up with a new process definition, you modify your connector implementation, and you redeploy a new process definition. Here, what a user can do inside the Bonita portal, you can log in as an administrator, and you will have options to first identify that something has failed. That's something we'll see after. But I just want to show you first the administration view where you can actually modify the implementation of a connector live. So again, you don't need to put your server down. You don't need to interrupt your process execution. Here we would be able to modify the Twitter connector implementation. at runtime, and all the process instances would benefit from this new implementation. What we are going to see next is, let's imagine that the Twitter connector failed. Actually, for the demo, what we've done is that we want to insert something in a Google Calendar. We want to add an event. And this one was configured using parameters so that it would fail. So that's why we have nothing yet showing up. As an administrator, I will be able to see first that my task has failed. What we've tried to do is we've seen that you need to figure out quickly what happens when this type of issue is happening in production. So we are trying to provide a view to an administrator to see exactly what failed first. And when you click on this fail link for specifically the connector was supposed to insert the event calendar, we are providing an access to the stack trace that is usually explicit enough to understand what happened. So here we see that the credentials were wrong. We did that on purpose to show you how we can bring flexibility through parameters, as we explained at the beginning. So if we come back to the previous screen where we can actually modify the configuration of our process definition, we'll see another section called parameters. And you will see that the Google account that we used, we introduced an underscore error in the username just to make the connector fail. We can easily modify it. Again, all your process instances will benefit from this change. So now we can come back to the process instance that failed earlier, and we can try to replay the task with this big replay button. Something interesting here, depending on your use case, you may want to be able to select explicitly the connectors. Normally, BPMN recommend one automatic task, one action. Some of our customers are using it to attach multiple connectors. So here we provide the option to select what you want to rerun. So here we can replay the task. We should see, so the task disappears from the failed filter. It's been executed. And normally the Google Calendar has been updated with a strange date. Yeah. Selected Saturday. Anyway, so these are the three main use cases and solutions, simple solutions that we wanted to share with you around flexibility and post-deployment flexibility. So just as a quick recap, maybe come back to the slide. We can avoid to interrupt your services if the connection with a third-party application fails or the interfaces are changing. And through the usage of subtasks, we are providing flexibility and traceability around collaboration for a specific activity if it wasn't captured in your BPM diagram. So the last slide is, this is an ongoing initiative at Bonitasoft. Basically, we are calling that internally living process. And this is just the first step. This is what we wanted to provide as a first move to provide quick added value to our projects. But we are going to roll out more and more features around this concept of living process, because we acknowledge that a process is alive and part of its environment. We have set up this website, Living Process, that is currently curated by Bonitasoft. You are free to participate. We would love to exchange on this topic with you. And basically, this is the QA session.